All right, we got some Giselles here, and they look like they're going to be really fast. So fast factoring trinomials one, zoom. Okay, so first of all, we are going to be given a trinomial. It's going to be in standard form. So that's the first thing. If it's not in standard form, you need to put it in standard form. It's going to be a trinomial, 1, 2, 3. You're going to have the x squared, the x, and the constant. You're going to fill out a big X. In order to fill out the big X, you're going to take the coefficient, the leading coefficient, times the constant, including the sign. So A times C. And then you're going to take B, including the sign, and put it on the bottom. Then you're going to do that big X thing. You're going to find the two side numbers, and we're going to find out why we've been doing this. Woo! All right. So factoring trinomials. Number one, it must be in standard form. Okay, we just talked about that. AX squared plus BX plus C. Write it down, folks. Write it down. Step 2, set up the big X. Now, there are going to be times when you're going to not need the big X, but we're going to start with it, and then when you become a mean, lean factoring machine, we might do away with it. But remember, the big X is A times C, including the sign, with B on the bottom. I already did that color. I'm changing colors here. I know you can hear my pen click. That's so weird. Step 3, or number 3, is rewrite the trinomial. Okay, we're going to take this one, this bx, and we're going to substitute in, let's just call this one n and m, okay, for number, I don't know. We're going to take this trinomial, we're going to keep the ax squared, but then we're going to replace the bx with nx plus mx. Those are the two numbers here, and we're keeping the x from here. And we're going to keep the plus c. Now again, these pluses are arbitrary. Remember, they could be minuses. What you're going to do next is you're going to factor by grouping, because now you have a 4-termer polynomial, okay? So now you're going to factor by grouping. You're going to end up with a GCF and some leftovers, plus or minus a different GCF, but it's going to have the same leftovers, remember? And then you take it on down. And the last step is the most important step that everyone forgets. You're going to double, triple, check. Okay, now that is an evanism. That's a thing that I say. The other teachers might not say that. What you're going to do is, can it be factored more? Did you miss a GCF? Do you have parentheses that can be factored more? Right now, the answer is going to be no, other than the GCF. You could have missed a GCF, but the other stuff we haven't learned yet. So right now, all you're really doing is, did you miss a GCF? Okay, let's go. So we're going to take A, which is 2, times 3. So we have 6 at the top, and we're going to look for 5 at the bottom. So our choices are 1 and 6. 2 and 3. Remember, this is positive, so we're adding. This is positive, so we have 2 positives. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we're going to put those numbers right there. We're going to rewrite. We're going to keep 2x squared. We're going to change this 5x into plus 2x plus 3x, and then we're going to keep the plus. It's supposed to be black. Come on, pen, change. I'm trying to do it quietly because I know it's obnoxious. Plus 3. Okay, so notice the leading term and the constant stay the same. You take out the middle term and rewrite it using the two side numbers, and this x comes from right there. So if that's ever anything different than an x, you'll put those letters there. Now we're going to factor by grouping. What do these two have in common? They have a 2x. What do we get when we factor out the 2x? We have x, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 minus 1 is 1, plus 2 divided by 2 is 1, the x's cancel. When we look at these two, it's a plus, and they both have a 3 in common. So what do we get when we divide by 3? We get x plus 1. So our final answer, our final factored form, FFF, final factored form, is x plus 1 times the quantity, 2x plus 3. Now remember, you could have it this way. You can have 2x plus 3 times x plus 1. We don't care, okay? We don't care. Commutative property exists in multiplication. We can do it either way. All right. Oh my goodness. We need to multiply 6 times 15. So we are looking for 6 times 15. Where can you go if you don't know what 6 times 15 is? You can go to your calculator. It is 90. And then the bottom number is negative 19. So up here, this is positive, which means we're going to add. This is negative. That means we're going to add 2 negatives. So I've got 1 and 90, make them negative. That's not it. 2 and 45, make them negative. That's not it. 3 and 30, make them negative. That's not it. 4 doesn't work. 5 and, I messed this one up last time, didn't I? 18, that's not it. 6 and 16, that's not it. 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work. 9 and 10, there you go. Now, you guys might have already seen that. Remember, if you see it right off the bat, you don't have to go through that whole tower thing there. We're going to rewrite it, 6y squared, and we're going to take this out and substitute these in. So negative 9y minus 10y plus 15. Why does it not change colors? Plus 15. Look at him. He's going, why? Why did it not change colors? Look at my little white belly. I am playing in the snow. Okay. Leading term, constant, stay the same. You rewrite the middle term. Make sure you include the variable. Now we go to grouping. These guys have a 3y in common, so I'm going to divide by 3y. And I get 2y minus 3. Okay, I'm going a little faster on my division because we've done it quite a few times. And if you're having trouble with that, that's when you go to the tutor room or ask your teacher for help. This is negative, which means I have to take out a negative. They both have a 5 in common, so I'm going to take out negative 5. When I divide by negative 5, negative 10 divided by negative 5 is a positive 2y. 15 divided by negative 5 is a negative 3, giving me my final factored form of 2y minus 3 times the quantity, 3y minus 5. Okay, and you can go either way, honestly. I don't care which one you put first. All right, so here we go. Whoa, 3 times 3 is 9, and we are looking for a positive 10. Look at him. He goes, we're looking for it. What is it? What is it? What is it? What do you think those numbers are? Huh? What do you think, guys? What do you think, guys? What do you think? Positive up here, 2 positives. The first thing you try is 1 and 9, and that's the one that works. So we're going to rewrite it. 3p squared. We're going to take that 10p and write it as 1p plus 9p. And then we're going to keep the plus 3 at the end. For terms, we go to grouping. The only thing these guys have in common is a p. So when I divide by p, I get 3p plus 1. These guys have a positive 3 in common. So when I divide by 3, I get 3p plus 1. Never a big surprise. I've done it correctly. Yay me. 3p plus 1 times p plus 3. Although we do know I make mistakes, and I'm sure you've caught me on a few. All right, next page. What's the gazelle gonna be doing? Wow, he's celebrating. We are doing this, guys. We got it. Come on. See him right there? That is the gazelle's a times c. He likes that. A times c. 6 times 4 is 24, and we are looking for negative 14. So positive up on top, negative on the bottom means 2 negatives. So negative 1, negative 24. Nope. Negative 2, negative 12. There it is. Negative 2, negative 12. Guys, I don't write those down there because I think that I'm like saying you're not smart enough. You need to write them down. I write them down there because I have to find them too. So don't be embarrassed to write those down there, okay? Write out your factors. 6x squared. We're going to take that 14, that negative 14x, and replace it with negative 2x minus 12x. and we keep the constant term. Once we're down to 4 terms, we group. These two have a 2x in common. So if I divide by 2x, that gives me 3x minus 1. Oh, that was supposed to be a different color. Oh, well, we're ready to all be in green now. These, I have a negative here, so I have to divide by a negative. And what do they have in common? A negative 4. That leaves me with 3x minus 1. So my final factored form is, what do they have in common? 3x minus 1 times what was the GCFs. Uh-oh, ding, 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 ding. You thought the page was going to turn. It is not. Look at this. Remember the double, triple, check, number, I don't remember, 6? Number last on the list. Look at this one. When I put the 2x minus 4 together, do you see that there was a GCF I missed? So at the very beginning, I should have taken out a GCF, but I forgot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the 3x minus 1. Then I'm going to take my GCF out here. They both have a 2. And when I divide by 2, I get x minus 2. Now here's the deal. That looks goofy. We put the single coefficient first, and then we rewrite the other 2. Notice how this came down. It's in both of them. We were just factoring this part, but you got to keep that other factor there. Oh, that had a trick in it. I should have checked. So now this time I'm going to check first. Is there a GCF? Oh my gosh, you guys, that should always be the first thing you ask, and there is. When I do that, I'm going to take out a 3 and I'm going to put a bracket. I'm going to divide all of these by 3. All right. I'm going to get 3r squared. No, I'm not. I'm going to get 2r squared minus r minus 3. All right. Helps if you divide correctly, Evans. Now I'm going to take this trinomial and do the big X. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I'm looking for a negative 1. Remember, if there's no number there, it's a negative 1. So this is negative, which means I am going to subtract. So one has to be positive, one has to be negative. The bigger number has to be negative. So I'm going to go 1 and 6, make the bigger number negative. That gives me negative 5. 2 and 3, make the bigger number negative. There it is. Gives me 2 and negative 3. Keep that 3 right there. Do not get rid of it, okay? Keep the 3. Keep the 2r squared like we always have. Take out this negative 1r and replace it with plus 2r minus 3r, and then keep the negative 3. Do not lose this 3 outside. Really important. We'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to do this part by grouping. So I'm going to put my 3 in my bracket here again. I'm going to take out a 2r from this group, leaving me with an r plus 1. On this group, I got to take out a negative. I'm going to take out a negative 3, leaving me with r plus 1. So now watch what my final answer is. Keep the 3. Here's your common factor, r plus 1. Here's your leftovers, 2r minus 3. So if you take the GCF out first, there's a better chance of you not having to double, triple check at the end. We're going to have to eventually, but we're not there yet. But what happens? Let's look at this 12. Remember the factor trees you used to do? I don't like them. I like hedges. But the factor trees, and then you said 2 times 3 here for 6. Is 12 equal to 2 times 3? No, you have to bring this 2 down also. So when you're factoring, that's exactly what you just did. This is a factor tree. You took out the 3 and you had this polynomial left. Then you factored that polynomial. So you have to keep that 3 all the way down. Biggest mistake made. Oh, I'm feeling a checkpoint. Oh my gosh, I'm so psychic. There's checkpoint 1, factor completely. Guys, this is going to take you a little bit of time. Do not, please, do not come back without having at least the big X done and rewritten it, okay? Let's get big X's and get them rewritten. And if you get stuck after that, we'll go over it in class. But let's try to get the big X's done. Remember that Giselle, he jumps from beginning to end. Whoops, there's a 1 there. 1 here, beginning to end, beginning to end. Look at them all. They're going, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Look at those encouraging little faces. All right, he goes, did you do it? Did you do it? So factor completely. Here's a 1. 1 times 12 is 12. Bottom number is 8. Everybody's positive, so 1 plus 12, isn't it? 2 plus 6. There we go. Bingo, zingo. A 2 and a 6. So we're going to keep the 1d squared. We're going to rewrite the middle with plus 2d plus 6d. And then we're going to have the plus 12, and we're going to go to grouping. These guys have a d in common. So now I'm at the point now where I kind of do visual division instead of writing it. 1d squared divided by d is d. 2d divided by d is 2. These guys, it's positive, and they have a 6. 60 divided by 6 is d. 12 divided by d is 2. So my final answer is d plus 2 times d plus 6. Look at that. He is happy. If he had a little bubble, he would be having a happy face in there. Look at him. All right, he thinks it's time to take a snack break. I'm not quite sure. We've got a few more slides. He's taking a snack break. I'm not ready. But what he is saying is, what do we have in common? We all like to eat. So let's look for a GCF. Look at these three. Do they have one? They do. They have a GCF of 3. So remember, when you take the GCF out, you got to put a bracket. It's going to be 3z squared minus 3z plus 4. Now I'm big X in this. 3 times 4 is 12, and I'm looking for -3. Top number's positive, bottom number's negative. That means I've got 2 negatives happening. -1 minus 12, -13, -2 minus 6, -8, -3 minus 4, -7. That's all I've got. What this tells me is this is as far as I can factor it. Okay, it did factor because I've got something times something else. That's what factoring is. It just didn't factor anymore. Remember the 12 we took to 2 times 6 and took the 6 to 2 times 3? Well, what if I took 14 and I took it down to 2 times 7? That's as far as it could go, right? That's this situation. We got to take one thing out, but nothing more. But it is still considered factored. All right, no, it's what? Can we do this one? Why, yes, we can. This is the the doo-wop Giselles. Can't you see him just going do-a-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dum? There she goes, a multiplying A and C. She gets a -40-diddy-dum-diddy-dum. Her bottom number is 18. Ooh, do-a-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dum. We're gonna subtract, and we're gonna have. Oh my gosh, I can't get all these syllables in. A positive and a negative, and the big number has to be positive. Okay, the doo-wop girls are done. So we are looking for 1 and 40. What is my pen doing? Why is my pen doing that? I don't know. I hope it stops. Big number has to be positive. That gives me a positive 39. 2 and 20. Big number's positive. That gives me my 18. So -2 and 20. All right, we got to get through 3 more slides before I can restart my computer and get this pen happier. So we are going to rewrite this. 5x squared. We're going to substitute this 18x for -2x plus 20x. Okay, the secret word today is hairy pen. Oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy. Hairy pen, -8. All right, we're going to group. The only thing, oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy, guys. Only thing these two have in common is an x. So when I take out an x, 5x squared divided by x is 5x. -2x divided by x is -2. These two, it's going to be a plus. That was supposed to be purple. So it's going to be a plus. What do they have in common? They have a 4 in common. So I'm going to take out a +4. 20x divided by 4 is 5x. -8 divided by 4 is -2. So I have 5x minus 2 times x plus 4. Okay, hairy pen, not happy. All right, look at them. See, they're not happy. Get rid of that hairy pen. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. They're fighting over who can get rid of that hairy pen for me. Is there a GCF? No. So 4 times 3, -3 is -12, and my middle number is 8. I'm going to subtract. So when I do this, my bigger, that's the funniest looking negative sign I've ever seen. My bigger number has to be positive. So I have 1 and 12, positive big number small, that's 11. 2 and 6, positive big number small, that's 4. 3 and 4, positive big number small, negative, that's 1. Those are my only choices. So does that factor? It does not. This is considered prime. okay? Just like the number 3 is prime, because I could take out a 1 and a 3, but that's a waste of my time. I could take out a greatest common factor of 1 here, but if you have tried every combination and you do not get that bottom number, it is prime. But remember, you could have taken out a GCF perhaps. We'll check for that. All right, the last line I'm doing, and then it's going to be a checkpoint. There is a 1 here, 1 times negative 16, and we're looking for positive 15, which means the big number is positive. So 1 and 16, 16's positive, 1's negative. Look at that, we found it right off the bat. I love it when that happens. So we're going to go 1k squared. We're going to rewrite 15k with negative 1k plus 16k. And then we have that minus 16 there, and we go to grouping. What do these two have in common? They have a k in common. You can put the 1 there, you don't need it. And what happens when I divide? 1k squared divided by 1k is k. Negative 1k divided by 1k is negative 1. What do these two have in common? This is positive, so it's a plus. So they have a positive 16 in common. 16 divided by 16 is 1 with a k. Negative 16 divided by 16 is negative 1. K minus 1, k plus 16. So the secret word, hairy pen. See if you can figure out how to spell it. All right, I'm going to guess this is a checkpoint. It is checkpoint 2. And again, even if you are confused, you should be able to get the big X. Get the big X, rewrite it, and then try grouping. You can do it! Good luck.